Hello and welcome to this video. If you clicked on this video, then you might ask yourself the question, how to go vegan? What are the steps that I need to take in order to become a proper vegan? And while I can't give you a full plan of what exactly you need to do in order to become vegan, I can give you some tips that helped me on my way there. Disclaimer, I'm not fully there yet myself. I am trying to become fully vegan, but I need to acknowledge that I'm not yet there. But I'm getting there, and on my journey so far, I made some experiences that I want to share with you in the hopes that it might be easier for you to also become vegan. Or you might not even want to become vegan. You might just want to become vegetarian, or you might just want to reduce the amount of meat you eat. Any of that is fine. Those tips work for you. This is a very basic introductory level video, right? If you want to get into this, my channel is not branded for vegan stuff. I'm not known to be a vegan advocate or anything like that. I just figured it out for myself that this is a road I want to travel, and since this is a vlogging channel, I want to share what I'm experiencing, and I want to share my ideas and thoughts. So without further ado, here are the 7 tips on how to become vegan. Tip number 1. Know your why. And by that I don't mean your chromosome. What I mean is that you need to know the purpose of why you're doing this. Obviously you don't just wake up and decide, okay, I'm now gonna become vegan. No, there will be a reason why you want to do it, right? Our society doesn't usually raise us to be vegan. And if it did, then, well, you don't have a problem being vegan, so you wouldn't be here. So you want that change. And you need to know for yourself why you want that change. This is super important because it will help you along the way to stick to it. The first time I ever encountered the idea of not eating meat was when my crush at the time told me that she isn't eating meat anymore, and she basically wanted me to also stop eating meat. And since I had a crush on her, I tried to do that, you know, but I just couldn't, right? I wasn't doing it for myself, I was trying to do it for her. And so I didn't have the reason for me to not eat meat. I didn't have the motivation to find ways to not eat meat, because eating meat is the easy thing to do. You can do that everywhere. Not eating meat comes with the resistance of you need to find something else, and you need to explain to other people why you don't eat meat now, and all those things that I didn't want to do. So I just kept eating meat. So yeah, my first attempt on becoming vegetarian completely failed because I didn't have a why. I didn't have a why for myself. Because doing it for someone else is not a good enough reason. At least it wasn't a good enough reason for me. Now there are many good reasons why you would want to go vegan. It could be that you're doing it for the animals. Or it could be that you're doing it for the environment. Or it could be that you're doing it for your own health. There are lots of reasons why it makes sense to become vegan. And you need to know for yourself what is your reason. Because that will also guide your decisions on what kind of vegan you are. For instance, if you're living on a diet eating mainly fruits, like watermelons that you import from the other side of the world, then that might be okay if you're just doing it for the animals. But it might not be okay if you're doing it from an environmental point of view, because your carbon footprint might even be larger if you do something like that than if you were to just eat local meat. If you're doing it for health reasons, there's more that you need to take care of, because even though in some context vegan is a synonym for healthy, but it is not a synonym. Refined sugar is vegan. Chocolate chip cookies can be vegan, but are they healthy? Debatable. So if you're doing it for your own health, then you need to take care that you're eating the healthy stuff, not just the vegan stuff. So instead of living off of pasta each day, you might want to go for some greens. Yeah. You can also experiment with a raw vegan diet. This will be going too far for that video. Point is, you need to know why you want to become vegan. That will help you so much along the way. Tip number 2. Start slow. You don't want to become a vegan from one day to the next, because it will not work. It's the same with becoming a millionaire overnight. You will lose it again because you will just waste your money because you never learned how to deal with a lot of money. You need to start slow. It's a lot better to go into this slowly than to go into this full on and then fail. In the long run, you will get better results if you were to start slowly. So, if you're coming from a place like me, where you were basically eating meat twice a day, maybe reduce it to once a day, then 1 vegetarian day per week, and then you continue this to only 1 meat eating day per week. You see where I'm going? Slowly, slow changes to get used to the next level. Hardcore meat eater to hardcore vegan doesn't work. Or go by the approach of slowly removing things, like start by removing beef from your diet. You can do as you want, of course. Again, you need to have your reason why you do it and then make your decisions based on that. For me, it would make sense to start removing beef. Next part, start removing pork. We can still eat the chickens, okay. And then at some point we'll remove chicken as well, but still eat fish. Still eat fish, okay, and then at some point we'll remove fish. So you can slowly walk your way down, because there's nothing worse than not knowing what you could possibly eat now. Even if you're on a vegan diet, there are many possibilities, but you need to find them for yourself first. And so starting slow is very important. Which brings us to tip number 3, substitution. You might be used to a certain style of cooking, and instead of learning it all anew, you can substitute certain elements with vegan alternatives. Let's say one of your standard dishes contains some sausage kind of meat, but next time you do it, substitute the meat with something else, like courgettes. Voila! And then next time you do the mashed potatoes not with normal milk, but with a vegan alternative like soy milk, almond milk. There are many possibilities, whatever you like most. And voila, you have your first vegan dish. It's as easy as that. You just need to slowly get used to that. And substitution can really help with that. Tip number 4. Go to vegan restaurants. By now, most of the restaurants have at least a vegetarian dish, if not a vegan dish, but your choice is usually very limited. So if I go to a normal restaurant in Austria, if I'm vegan, I don't have much choice but to take that one dish. Which is already better than, say, 10 years ago, where I couldn't eat out at all, but still limited. The majority of main dishes, at least in Austria, still contain meat. So you want to find restaurants that offer vegan dishes, or at least vegetarian ones, depending on which level you are at. And that has 3 advantages. First of all, you get to enjoy nice vegan meals, which is ultimately what you want. I mean, we are eating for pleasure. Secondly, you are exposed to new ideas. I mean, some restaurants just do the regular vegan meat, vegan fish, vegan this and vegan that normal people can deal with, you know, because they know what a burger is, they know what a schnitzel is in Austria. Other restaurants go another way and actually have proper vegan meals that isn't trying to resemble something meaty. And so if you see those, then you might get ideas on how you can cook your own vegan meals. And the third advantage of going to vegan restaurants is, of course, that you support what you believe in. Because the more people go to vegan restaurants, the more vegan restaurants there will be. And the more it spreads, the more people are gonna go vegan. And then ultimately, it's gonna be easier to be vegan. The more accepted it is, the more easy it will be. Being an early adopter is always tough. But once it's mainstream, then the meat eaters are gonna be the outsiders going to their steakhouses. I used to be one of them. Like, I used to love my steak.
3, 2, 1, steak.
So yeah, go to vegan restaurants, support what you believe in. Which brings us to tip number 5. Just expose yourself to veganism. Expose yourself to the people who have the diet that you are striving to have. In that way, you can find new friends, you can find new recipes, because it is very hard to be vegan in an all meat eating surrounding. If everybody around you judges you for trying to be vegan, you'll have a much harder time than if you were surrounded by people who think the same way. With my family, I made good progress in getting them to go vegetarian. As long as I'm there, we're eating vegetarian, at least. Because vegan would be still a step too far for them. So I moved to France, now living with a family who is mostly vegan. And here, it's a lot easier for me to be vegan, just because of the opportunities that I have from access to different kinds of food and different kinds of ideas. And I'm not saying that you should move somewhere where the people are vegan, right? I'm not saying that, but just find 1 or 2 people who are vegan, so that you have at least one buddy that you can cook vegan dinner with. It's a lot about the environment. If you always have sweets standing on the kitchen table, then you will be eating sweets. If you substitute it with like treasures like this, you won't be eating those sweets. As I said, vegan is a broad spectrum. If you want to live healthy, you need to surround yourself with healthy food. But speaking of that sweet stuff, tip number 6. Allow yourself some cheat days. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's better to fail once and then continue back to it than to never fail and then eventually break and completely revert. So we're not, or at least I am not trying to be perfect, because it comes with a pressure. If you failed, you failed. Man, I've been vegan for like 10 years now, I can't stop now. And then you have one fallback and you lost. Now it's ruined, right? Now I can never get those 10 years back now that I ate my, I don't know what, gummy bear that I thought was vegan but wasn't. Because sometimes you might just really desire something. And of course I would advise to be strong and not just go for any desire that you have. But I also don't want you to get yourself down and get like mentally strained from not getting what you want. Because that is also not the right way to go about it. So let's say you're at the party and all the people are having their pizzas with salami, and maybe you are already in that state where you're like, ugh, that looks gross, I don't even want to eat that. With some kinds of meat, that's already the case for me. I'm like, how could I ever eat stuff like that? But maybe you are not at that point. Maybe you are like, man, I would really love a slice of that pizza. So in my opinion, it's perfectly fine to trade one slice of your cheeseless vegan pizza for one slice of that devil's pizza. Maybe we don't want to go full on, oh, now I have my cheat day, I'm gonna order 3 pizzas. Maybe you do want to do that. I don't judge. You can do whatever works for you. If you have one cheat day per month, week, whatever, and you eat non-vegan on that cheat day and you want to take advantage of it, then sure, go ahead. It's still better than not doing anything at all, because you have the remaining 6 days that you do something else. So stick with tip 6, allow yourself cheat days unless you don't need them. If you don't need them, if you are there and you don't need them and you're happy with your diet, then it's perfect. Congratulations on getting there. Usually if you're by yourself and you have control over your environment, then you won't have those cravings because you will not be exposed to them. But when you're out with other people, that's where it becomes challenging. And that brings us to tip number 7, dealing with meat eaters. You need to recognize that you are doing this for yourself and not everybody might share your opinion. And this is very hard for vegans, hence there's so much prejudice against vegans, and there are jokes like, how do you know somebody's vegan? I don't know, how do you know somebody's vegan? They will tell you. There's something true to that, right? I was on both sides. I used to be on the other side, seeing them vegans and being like, yo, well, I'm fine with that as long as I can eat my meat. They can do their stuff, I don't mind, but I have my meat, don't bother me. I was there, right? But now I'm also here, seeing all those other people doing all the things that go against my, you know what I mean? Go against my gut feeling. I just, how can they eat so much meat? I'm trying my best not to eat any of that stuff, and they're just all day. Holy moly. So it's important to realize that you cannot change other people. Of course, if they are interested, you can tell them why you're doing what you're doing, why you're vegan yourself, what benefits it brings to you. And if they then decide for themselves that, hey, I want to try this sounds good, I want to try this out, maybe it works for me as well, then great. But you can't have the expectation that you can change other people, because they need to do it for themselves. That ties in with tip number 1. They need to have their own why, and you can't be their why, because it's a whole different letter. Anyhow, so just be aware of that. It can at times be really tough being the only one limiting yourself for the environment, the animals, your health, while everybody around you doesn't give an F about you and your why. Do it for yourself, and if people are interested, they will come up to you. And just by exposing them to the idea of not eating meat, you are already doing something. Then at least they have seen it, that it is something that can be done. But don't ever push it on people. That will just make your life miserable, because you'll just run against the wall. You will find all that resistance there. Some people just don't want their meat be taken away from them, which is perfectly fine. Right! So those were my 7 tips on how to become vegan more easily. Of course, all of that is just my opinions. I'm not an expert in any of that. I'm not a health expert. I'm not a dietitian. Is that how you call that? I'm just a guy trying to become vegan and sharing my experiences of my journey. And with that, I wish health and freedom to you. Good luck with becoming vegan or vegetarian or whatever you want to become. I hope that those tips are helpful. If they were, give this video a like, maybe subscribe, and tell me in the comments if you want to learn more about this. I'm exposing myself to a raw vegan diet. We're eating algae, we're eating all sorts of things. There are sprouters over there. I can tell you about that sort of stuff if you're interested. If you want me to make more videos in that direction, just let me know and I will try. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye. If you excuse me, I got some more spinach to eat. But it's a lot nicer if you know, put it in a smoothie. Or in a salad even. Anyhow. Yeah, go watch those videos. Subscribe as well. See you next time. Wow, that's gross.